A hurtmeet is not a helpmeet. Welcome to another episode of Turn to Burn, where we assist males to crush maliteracy, effeminacy, and aspire to domestic excellence. We're grateful that you've joined us for another episode. Today we're talking about relationships and how to look for a godly spouse, a godly wife. We're looking at this today from 1 Kings 11, verses 3 to 8. We're reading from the King James Version. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. Verse 8. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. Our main point today is a hurt meat is not a help meat. A hurt meat is actually the opposite of a help meat. And we are talking about relationships, how to spot a woman that can be a great wife, or how to look at qualities in your wife that you may need to address if you're already married to someone. A strong man is trained to recognize a hurt meat as a woman that, 1, turns her heart from Yahweh. 1 Kings 11 verse 4 we just read. And 2, stirs us to sell ourselves to work evil. And we can see the story of Jezebel in 1 Kings 21 verse 25 and Ahab. Right? A hurt meat influences us as strong men to apostatize or lose our faith, and then contracts us to evil, that is, selling ourselves. A hurt meat is a cunning entrapment to firstly invite us to rebel against Jesus, and then trap ourselves in that rebellious state through a quote-unquote soul sale. The result of being with a hurt meat is entering into reprobate contracts and covenants. This can include jobs, sororities, fraternities, and debts that detract us from using finances and effort for the kingdom of heaven. This includes satanic parental contracts, where we raise children who are perfectly suitable for Satan's conveyor belt, etc. In the original design before the fall of Genesis chapter 3, Eve, the first woman in the Bible, was created as a suitable partner, helpmeet, for Adam to ally with him to reign in Eden, and from Eden the rest of the world. Genesis 2:17 to 18. Satan, formerly Lucifer, influenced her to become the opposite, that is, a woman that turns her heart from the Lord and stirs us up to sell ourselves and enter a satanic covenant through forbidden fruit that seems pleasurable and wise. The wisest man, Solomon, could not conquer the hurt meat, as we saw in 1 Kings 11, and he fell into satanic worship covenants at the end of his life. Jezebel seems the composite, where we talk about Jezebel in 1 Kings 21. She seems like the composite of all Solomon's wives, and as such, an apex Hurtmeet. For especially younger men, mothers can be their first Hurtmeet, as the story of Ahaziah and Athaliah shows in 2 Chronicles 22, verse 3. The enemy uses the authoritarian and oppressive maternal influence to lead many, especially young and impressionable males, astray. This satanic strategy becomes more effective as many males are absent from the American home in the growingly popular single mother family. The U.S. Census Bureau reported that in 1960, only 8% of American children lived with a single mother, and this rose to 25% in 2023. More young men could be exposed to Hurtmeet-oriented mothers like Athaliah that will lock them into lifetime satanic traps and habits. When I recognize the presence of Jezebel, I must and can recognize that regardless of her packaging, that is sweetheart or mother dearest, she is a Hurtmeet and not a helpmeet. A messianic strongman cannot covenant with a Hurtmeet. But if I already covenanted with Jezebel, Eve, Athaliah, Hurtmeet before I was saved, Paul teaches about one approach to unequal yoking, which is that the sanctified partner sanctifies the unsaved for the sake of cleansing the children. In 1 Corinthians 7, verses 14, Paul is hinting at the fact that the saved partner does not save the unsaved partner, but through the power of your relationship with God, you are able to give some cleansing, some separation power to your unsaved partner. If it's the case of a marriage, that was the context of 1 Corinthians 7, that can help the children to be seen as righteous in the sight of God, or clean before the Lord. Now, this type of unequal yoking is when you commit yourself to someone, let's say a Hurtmeet, in a marriage. This is a martyr's covenant, where you recognize that by staying in this marriage, you're willingly committing to a life of suffering, persecution, and torment for your children's sake. Jezebel will suck on your spiritual life like a Nosferatu unless she repents. That's what you've signed up for by pursuing 1 Corinthians 7:14 or 1 Peter 3:1-2. And if the so-called wisest man, Solomon, failed in this unequally yoked strategy, then caveat emptor, or buyer beware. In Judges 16:18, the strongest man, so we move from the wisest man now to the strongest man, Samson, remained with a Hurtmeet, and she destroyed him. So whether it's wisdom or strength, staying with a Hurtmeet has proven itself ruinous for strong men in the Bible. She was open that she, meaning Delilah, I believe was the name, she was open that she wanted to destroy him, but he remained with her. Many teach loyalty in a toxic or unequally yoked relationship as the only option for a saved man maritally covenanted with a Hurtmeet under the married for life doctrine, forgetting that the doctrine is firstly married for life, not death, as marriage is to produce life from oneness. However, Jesus also teaches and commands that if anything stumbles us, we are to cut it off. See Matthew 5:28-30. And many purport that this justifies as an extreme and last option only divorcing a Hurtmeet. As an extreme and last resort only divorcing a Hurtmeet, and facing the challenge of a eunuch life for the gospel, Matthew 19:12. You can continue to parent your children and battle the legal challenges that a post-divorce hurtmeet can and often will erect to hurt you through your children. Now we looked at the worst case scenario. We're saying here for young men that have not yet, for mothers, parents, young men that have not yet engaged yourself in with a hurtmeet. Ultimately, it's best to train your sons and yourself to recognize the signs of a hurtmeet early, as she, number one, turns your heart from Yahweh, that is our highest ancestor. And two, she stirs us to sell ourselves into Antichrist covenants. We're grateful that you've come to the end of another Turn to Burn episode. We do encourage you to share your comments, share your criticisms, your questions in the YouTube comments section. So why rob God and this world of you and your family? And until next time, be nuclear.